We're all misfits.
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. Full goon squad in the house.
Here we are.
Sup.
On today's episode, we will have a quick little Wodapalooza recap. We're going to talk about the direction, helping the direction of the weekend warrior, someone who kind of feels like they're in no man's land in terms of what are they training for, when can they compete, what is their new Super Bowl, that sort of thing, if online competition isn't really their game. And then if we get to it, we're going to talk about percentage work. I'm working on an article right now, and I know that some of you don't read the articles, so we'll talk about it a little bit here at the end of the podcast. As always, the best way to support this podcast is by heading to our show sponsors and using the codes, properfuel.co, use the code word misfit, sharpentheaxeco.com, use your favorite athlete code, teammisfit.com for your affiliate programming needs, and misfitathletics.com for your individual programming needs. Gentlemen, I slept for 5-ish hours.
On the plane?
No, I actually did on the way into Portland. I did get like the 5 minutes until your neck hurts this way, and then the 5 minutes till your neck hurts this way.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing on the airplane is like, God, my neck hurts. And then you tip it the other way and you're like, I feel so much better. I can't wait to do this again.
It reminds me of running. It reminds me of like Sherb making me run with a med ball on a sweaty Saturday. And I think I got a really good idea. I'm going to hold it over my head.
You don't.
Yeah.
46 steps later.
You got a good idea for 18 seconds.
I'm going to die here. I'm going to die here.
I've always wanted to get the Sky Mall thing when that was the thing, that pillow that rested on your tray table that you just like, it's like a coffin you laid in, because I've never been comfortable on an airplane my entire life. My neck always feels like it's breaking.
Have you ever tried to use the tray table as like a lay down?
I see how you sleep on the plane, Ted. I don't fucking know how you do it. My head would snap off my shoulders.
I can't touch.
I don't know how
the
you
tray
do
table.
it. He like mashes his palms into his eyes and holds that position. And I'm like, I push my eyes back in my head. I can't fucking do it.
I turn my toes in so that my knees won't flare out too much, and then I plant my elbows on top of my knees, and then
We're gonna do a weakness template for sleeping on a plane. Ted's gonna write it.
Pillow.
K-Star is just throwing up into space right now.
Jesus Christ! So much
I had one of the pillows that went around my face, so it literally just honestly looked like a neck gaiter. But it was a pillow. You pulled it down over your face. I thought it worked. Turns out it was the Xanax that worked. It didn't work very well. I just felt like I was suffocating, basically.
I remember back in the day, K-Star put out a video that was like, hey, are you trying to sleep on a plane? Here's how you do it. You sit up as straight as you can and you crank your belt as tight as it goes.
I do remember that.
And then you
I know exactly what video you're talking about.
Bitch.
Just makes me feel like I'm going to shit my pants.
Yeah, I tried it. He's full of shit on that one. I mean, maybe he's got some good stuff otherwise.
I feel like I remember that video, but I thought it was so your back didn't hurt on the plane. But maybe it was for sleeping.
I don't think it was how to sleep on a plane. It was how to not be fucked up when you have to get off the plane. But
Ted's got to swoop in for the sleep training.
How to sleep on a plane. Glute activation, step 1. It's like, what?
Oh, that's great. All right, you guys do some life chat, and I'm going to double fist. I have a coffee in my right hand and a nootropic drink in my left hand.
So
I thought you said that was a watermelon like Red Bull margarita.
Like a Corona.
Starting your day with
man,
no
comment. I actually had a good life chat, but I can't remember what it was. So Sherb, you got to go first. Yeah.
My kid thinks it's hilarious to fart. So he's been farting on his little brother, and it's been hilarious for me. And I'm trying to not get him to do it.
Why?
But it's fucking amazing. I mean, he just walks over and plants his ass right in his face and just goes, "Get him!"
Oh, dude,
and it's so good. But like, I'm like,
does he have pink eye?
He hasn't been to sea for weeks. Pink eye's been closed for weeks.
All right, here's mine.
There you go. Chat.
Here's a question: did you guys have, like, as kids, sports equipment that, like, when you got a new, so for me as a kid, it was like, you get a new hockey stick. It was like, oh my God, when's the next practice? Like, I cannot wait. I'm going to tape this bad boy up now. I'm going to stick handle in the living room. I'm going to rip a puck through a window. And then like I can't wait to use this in the first game. What was that because you guys didn't play hockey.
Football
what
gloves.
was that? Football glove? Jesus Christ.
Gloves?
Yeah.
Dude,
you ever
when
fuck
they
around
made
with
those
football
new-
gloves?
Yeah, when they
The
made
cutters,
those new
bro?
ones,
You
and
just go,
someone could throw a football at you at 6,000 miles an hour, and it just stuck to your hand like those Velcro
Open
like tennis
palm.
ball things. Yeah, those things
Open
are
palm
great.
Sticks.
I
It
was
was
trying to
definitely
think. I was like,
baseball bat for me. Like,
baseball bat? Okay. that's
yeah,
what I
the
was
metal
gonna-
bats, back in the day. Like, first of all, biggest status symbol you could have. You could be dog shit.
Dude, those bats were
if you had a
real.
if you had a red line baseball bat, they'd carry you into practice on their shoulders. You were just like the fucking coolest guy alive. And
I
of course,
remember
my
a kid
dad's
on my
like,
team.
my dad's like, here's a copperhead bat. Like, it only matters if you can fucking swing the thing right. And I'm like, are you kidding? You know, cool.
It's not
I'm gonna be
cool.
with a red line. It's only like a week's worth of work for you. Fucking get out there.
There were-
get to fucking
There were a
work.
bunch of kids in my baseball team that had like parents the same, but they're like, you cannot let that fucking scrub swing your baseball bat. He's gonna ruin it. So he had like a sheath. It'd be like someone's
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
professional like
Yeah.
pool player's like
Yeah.
bag for his bat.
Those
And,
kids
like,
weren't
he'd,
cool though.
fucking
That was
unzip it.
fucked up. The rich kid that like
that
could
was a
barely
douche.
walk, like put one foot in front of the other, like trip over the base, but he wouldn't let you use his bat. It's like someone's got to fucking get a home run
Swing
on
that
this thing.
thing.
It ain't gonna be you. It was rare that it was the kid that was really good and had the nice bat though. That was like the coolest kid alive. If you hit a home run in Little League and you had a nice bat, like you
I may not
probably like a CEO
That
of
kid's
a
going to
Fortune
the
500
show.
now.
Yeah.
Hunter, I may not have
throwback,
played
man.
organized hockey, but I definitely played some backyard hockey, and getting like a hockey stick for Christmas was
dude.
always
Yeah.
the coolest.
The sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would get jazzed
Oh,
up. Why did you
dude,
get a
those
new
street
one?
hockey sticks where the like the
With
like
the
if you
holes in 'em?
broke, yeah, but if you broke the handle, it like unscrewed at the bottom, and you could get a new like shaft and then slide the bottom piece back on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure wishes
The
he could get a
plastic
new
one?
shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plastic one had the like square thing, and if you know,
Like the gym class style hockey stick?
I don't remember what we had. I just know that my street hockey stick, you could always like if you went apeshit on someone and smash the
swap it
stick,
out.
you could
Oh,
swap
yeah.
that baby out.
Thinking about Ted playing backyard hockey, all I can imagine him is just checking his neighbors in the neighborhood, just like walking around to strange
Assault and
kids that
battery.
weren't really paying attention to him or weren't really playing. Just fucking go over and cross check them and then keep walking down the street.
I don't know. I don't think that's assault and battery is like a 6 through like 14-year-old. It's like after that you're
You didn't know Ted.
legal issue.
If they agreed to play, that's
yeah,
on them.
that's fair. Ted, maybe
didn't
Ted's,
agree, bro. You
Maybe
staying
Ted's
with
cutoff was like 6.
He thinks we're
wasn't
playing
the
hockey.
fastest.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I wasn't the fastest, but I could smack you.
Yeah, baseball bat for sure, 100%.
Nice. Yeah. I've been perusing the internet for new golf clubs, and it has resulted in the same feeling
I
of
thought we weren't
like,
talking about that anymore.
holy fuck.
I thought
We're not
golf
talking
season was
about my
over.
play. We're talking
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
the new
Yeah.
equipment I need to
Take
spend
it
money
easy.
on. It's also brought me back to like childhood like flashbacks have occurred. One is like the prospect of having new equipment and just being like, holy fuck,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be about to be a professional with these new sticks that I'm gonna shank into the woods the same way that I did the other, just like 10 yards shorter.
Sure, but an obscure Reebok CrossFit shoe out there, just fucking 2159 in his heart out.
And
Those yellow
then
fucking Nano
the
ones
other
guy.
the other one, did you guys ever use eBay? Did you guys use eBay?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Fuck
one as a
yeah.
kid or two, like so
I would sell
like,
stuff to people and then not know how to get it to them. Does that sound like me?
That's tough. That's tough. It does sound like
The
you.
post
Yes.
office.
I got into. So I've been like looking on eBay because I'm not gonna spend money on a brand new set, and you can get like basically like the equivalent, just as good a quality on eBay for like way cheaper. But I'm like looking at it, and you got people like at a price like there's some people still do auctions. A lot of it's buy it now for the most part, or like you can make an offer, but there's still like the occasional like no, you just got to bid on it, old school. And I was like looking through the list, and it's like, oh, this item is like good. It's like good price, like almost exactly what I'm looking for. And there's no bids on it. And there's like, like 23 hours left. And now I'm in the mode where I'm like, I'm checking that bitch every 12 minutes to see if anybody bid on it. But now as an adult, so as a kid, I would be like, oh yeah, bid. like 99-cent item, like I'm going to fucking win this thing for 99 cents. And then in the last like 30 minutes, like people start bidding on it and it sells for like what it's actually worth. But I'm doing that now as an adult, but I'm playing like the algorithm game where I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm bidding on this thing until like the last 3 minutes because it's going to send this thing to page 1 of the fucking search results and it's going to let all the idiots out there know that I'm bidding on this and they're going to jack the price up on me.
You're gonna be
I used to get
coaching
so
when that thing's
pissed
gonna end.
doing
sure.
with eBay because I did the same thing, Hunter. I'd bid early on when I was younger, and then I'd always fucking lose in the last 3 minutes.
In
So
the
there was a
last
period where I didn't
hour,
use- I didn't
you're
use
still
eBay
winning.
for like 10 years because I'm like, fuck that. I don't have a bot. I'm never gonna win anything in an actual like decent value or a discount. So fuck all this. So thank goodness I went to buy it now. But like, I just recently got back into buying like small things like gifts for my kids or my wife. And
Shoes
it's like
and backpacks.
not shoes and backpacks. That's been a sad hiatus for me. But but like I bought Zion this fucking toy truck for Christmas, and it was like an older like 80s like tow truck type of thing. And fuck, like I was worried that the same thing was gonna happen again. I was gonna bid, and then get
PTSD?
fucking outbid last second. Yeah, so I got fucking anxious. So I was like, oh, I'm fucking this. Buy this now. I don't care. I'm paying probably full retail price. And fucking
It's not worth the stress. My
No,
screen
it's
time on
definitely not.
like Friday, Saturday, Sunday was like 12 hours. All eBay. Just eBay. Didn't know anything else that was going on in the world other than what items were getting listed under my search results that I was looking for.
My most embarrassing sports equipment story. So Scarborough didn't have football until like 97 or something like that. And we got our equipment to go to practice, the very first practice that the town had. And like, I don't know, maybe like a dozen kids had played Little Ad when they were younger, but everyone going to this practice had never played football before. So they give you a girdle, which is basically just like a pair of Spanx, and it's got this tiny little hole on each side, and then it's got like a longer like thing in the back. So you have 2 hip bone pads and 1 tailbone pad that you have to like put down into the
protect
girdle.
your front tail.
But no, it's worse than that.
Protect your front butt.
At the top of all of the pads, for whatever reason, I've never seen anyone use this since I used it. There's holes for a belt. There's slits in the pads for a belt. And the tailbone pad thing is like this big around, and there's actually a piece on it that's this shape. So I put just the bottom of the tailbone pad down into it. So the hip pads were up by my rib cage, and the tailbone pad was just barely slid in. So I had all of these pads exposed like on my stomach and around my back. And I weaved the belt through it. So I'm walking down to practice, and I'm covered. My stomach is covered in pads. This is what me, my dad, and my brother came up
You're
with.
a fucking handsome little 1400s lady going to a ball,
Yes.
aren't you? Yeah.
And we practiced at Bozel. I don't know if you know.
Tracking.
Yeah.
Full
Yeah.
full track on Bozel.
We practiced down there, so we're walking down, and I probably had my helmet on too. Like I probably had my mouth guard in and like shoulder pads on. Like no clue what's about to happen. And I'm walking down the hill, and I see everyone else with the pad all the way down in. And so I had to stop and like pull off to the side. And luckily, I realized that it was kind of hard, but you could jam the pad all the way down in for all of them. And then I had to take my belt out and try to get it through, which is a pain in the ass, the belt through the football pants. But it was like, I looked like fucking Megatron. I was also at that age, probably like 4'11", like tiny, so much smaller than everybody else. Good stuff. Although my brother at that age was 6 feet tall already, fucking 12-year-old, and he was wearing his hip pads on his ribs. So he probably looked a lot worse than I did. He stuck out like a sore thumb always, no matter what. And he was just wearing pads.
You got
all
pads
over
in
his
the right.
body.
You got pads in the right spot, and your head's way too fucking high into the sky right now. 12-year-old Matt.
It was great.
Those
so
fucking
embarrassing.
pants are the worst. They don't stretch. The white football pants you wear for practice do not stretch. They are literally like a potato sack
Polyester.
that has a belt loop. Oh, dude, they're so fucking bad.
It's
Every time you
crazy.
put them on, it's like the first time you've ever put them on.
The fact that they
Every
don't
single
rip
time.
Never
is
put on
like a
football pants.
marvel of modern science because they don't stretch at all and they don't fit on your body. Like you have to like pull them as hard as you can up over your body, but it's like the material is like a light version of a fucking Go-Ruck bag. And like it takes, especially if you've been wearing them a bunch, it takes like 30 minutes into practice before you can like squat down in them. This is so bad.
The military should use those for like a flak jacket because they're being impenetrable.
How about
They're
those
fucking
game
so
pants
terrible.
though? They're little like shiny,
Oh,
little
stretchy and silky. They're
stretchy,
so great.
fucking knees up to your
Be like,
face.
beg your coach, can we fucking wear these all week? And he's like, no, you can wear the starch pants in and fucking enjoy it. And the fact that those are white always. The practice pants are always white, and you play the dirtiest fucking sport. So by like the fucking third practice, they're gray. You've washed them 85 times and they're gray.
Covered in blood.
Oh, they smell so bad too.
Yeah, I gotta
Double
hang mine
sessions
outside.
smelled like the most horrendous teenage boy BO and icy hot.
Yeah, my mom made me bring we'd have like the deck and I put the clothes over it. She's like, spray them down with a hose and keep them outside until after the second practice. So like come home from first practice, hose them all down and then I'm dry in the sun.
Did you get hosed down too?
No.
You weren't allowed to go
I should
inside.
have been. Yeah, I had to stay outside until the next practice.
Yep.
My doghouse.
You got any
I
live
don't-
chat, Ted?
I don't have any specific life chat, but I did want to shout out Ryan Breetag because he sent us a care package of deep dish pizzas and
That's who
cookies
that was?
from Chicago. Well, I'm assuming so. There was no note in the box, but he commented on one of our episodes. Deep dish. on its
Pizza was
way.
pretty good.
I haven't cooked mine yet. I'm holding on for a special occasion when it's just me at the house and I don't feel like cooking.
I don't blame you. I wanted the whole thing for myself too, but
Well, you
I'll have
can't
some.
share.
No chance Ted has pants on in this scenario. He's like lighting candles.
No way.
Pizza candles.
The pizza
Like
night.
these
Made it in the
ambiance.
bathtub.
Jen comes home unexpectedly and is just like, "Is this for me?" And Ted's like, "Fuck, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here."
Go back in the garage, lady.
Fuck.
No, but shout out Ryan. That's pretty dope. Thanks
Yeah,
for that.
that was a sick care package.
All
And
right,
I sure
so-
wish we all had a stack of $400,000 each. If anybody's got that, just mail it on
Right on
over.
the coffee table.
Someone's gonna send us Monopoly money though, because someone asked for a Lambo, and I believe we got a coffee cup with a Lambo on
I
it.
did. Yeah, I asked for new Vans and I got a sick coffee mug with Vans on it. So need to be
Nice.
more specific.
We gotta figure out.
$400,000
what to do
in
with
small
these extras.
bills.
We gotta figure out what to do with these extras.
Oh yeah, I need a new one. Mine's been broken for a little while.
Oh, shit. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
definitely suck. So you should. You
I
should
do
get
suck.
one. Yeah.
I do need one of those.
Hunter should have to wear them all until they break at the same time, like a teenage girl in the early 2000s.
I'm just gonna start handing them around to members who I think are feeling sad about themselves mid-workout. Like, hey, here, look at this.
Don't forget.
That'll make them feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll work.
100%.
It should. Yeah, they'll really like that.
All right, gents, we have a special announcement. For the first time in, I don't even know
Bless
the
you.
answer, so that means it's been a while.
Too many months.
Too many months. January 24th, sharpentheaxeco.com, new collection for the first time. And there's an Easter egg in there. We talked a while ago about a athlete IQ shirt that had a bit of a Illuminati kind of feel to it. And we made that sort of special for the podcast listeners. So it is in very small quantities. It's a very small order. So if you are interested in that, maybe we'll find a way to get it into Discord a little bit before we send out the information to everybody else. But Wednesday, January
Fuck, I'm
24th.
gonna buy it.
Yeah, you are.
sharpentheaxeco.com. We have crews, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have sweatbands, we have multiple new t-shirt designs.
Wait, we got
so
hoodies?
It's been a
Yeah,
long time
Drew's wearing
coming.
it.
Are they Heather Gray?
What do we got for hoodies? Shut the fuck up over there. I can come through the wall.
Punch to that
But
fucking
also,
wall, guy.
are they heavy?
Punch to the
What do we
wall.
got?
Midweight.
Mid to
Oh,
heavyweight.
Jesus.
They're on the heavier side of
That's
midweight.
fucking
So
Hunter,
you're
midweight.
you're all fucking midweight.
Thank you.
Oh, fucking Heather
Midweight
Gray
wood.
midweights.
So January 24th, new collection, sharpentheaxeco.com, Misfit shirts, Suffer shirts, Sharpen the Axe hoodies, Misfit crews, new socks, new sweatbands, all kinds of good stuff. Got some
Stoked with how
restocks
that
in there
new-
as well.
That new Suffer shirt turned out great.
Yeah, it's
I'm
dope.
really stoked on it.
I love that. Very cool shirt. All right, gents, Wodapalooza recap. I can say that it must be positive that I don't have many large complaints. Normally, following Wodapalooza, I have like a 6-page document of how they could improve the competition and everyone's experience there. I didn't really feel that way this year. I will say, though, speaking with the volunteers, like on Sunday, they were like hanging on by a thread and they were like, how are you doing? And I was like, this is day 2 for me. Normally, I'm here coaching for 4 days. I feel like a fucking spring chicken right now. I'm also sleeping a lot more here than I do at home. So, like, it's actually pretty nice.
That's got to be a nice little side bonus there is the first time you get away from the house. You'll get the sleep you don't get to normally have.
I got delayed a bunch getting in there and lost my train of thought because I got delayed a bunch last night and got home at 2-something a.m.
Dude, when I was going to buy you some time.
No, I'm good. I know what I'm going to say. It's just not falling out of my face quite yet. But basically, I woke up in the morning after it being late, and I kept waking up. I woke up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and I would like pull my headphones off because I sleep with headphones on and listen to see if anyone was like walking around because we had like a condo basically. And no one was walking around. So I was like, oh, I'm good. Like I'm fucking staying in this bed until 9 a.m. And turns out when I woke up at 9 a.m., Paige was like, we're at the gym. We're having fun. Hope that you're sleeping well.
Fuck.
And I said, well, you're lucky that it wasn't Sherb. And like maybe Hunter's halfway. Like if Sherb was still sleeping and you went to the gym and you were 21:59 and he would be very upset. But it's no sweat off my back. If you want to hit some power clean to push jerks and burpees without me, I'll be okay.
No, not too worried about it.
No.
Shucks, I missed out.
And they waited for you guys not to be there to have a coach's area for all of the events. So
is that 3 steel folding chairs?
How many fucking years? How many years has it been? Like thinking
in the athlete area or for like spectating?
No, for events.
Wow,
like
was it good? Was it good, or were you standing behind a fucking steel pole?
So they at Bayfront, the one on the water, they did everything on a barge so that they could push the stands all the way up where the rig normally is.
Sick.
And then there was probably 10 to 12 feet of concrete in front of that, and that's where the coaches and volunteers were. And they had like folding chairs out that you could sit in. So that was
Take
nice.
Notes, CrossFit
like you
games.
could go over and I was directly in front of them. The girls team, I was directly in front of them every time that they worked out over there, which was nice.
That's nice.
The only it was good we were in the media pit basically at Flagler, so that was also nice. Basically, just go over there and like
the media people were stoked about that.
There weren't that many in there.
Really?
No, there were not that many in there.
Interesting.
And Tina Hills was bad, but like when is Tina Hills not bad?
Tina Hills has never been good.
Everyone hates that stage so much. So they literally like. I had been to all the other ones at that point, and it was the only event that was over there. So I was like, oh, this is going to be great. They had us back with the athletes, and then they brought us over. They released us in the front row of the stands with nowhere to sit and very angry people who had probably waited hours to watch that person.
and
they're
paid
like,
tickets.
You need to move. And I was like, the workout has not started. I haven't figured out where I'm going to stand, but I will not stand in front of you, so you can fucking calm down. You can like take it down a notch. So that was the only
I thought you were
going to
say,
like,
but now I'm definitely standing here, regardless
turn around and
of
sock
where
him
my
in the nose.
athletes are.
So that part of it was good other than Tina Hills, but I don't know what they're supposed to do over there. It's a lot of people jammed into a small space. And the workout
Luckily,
was just the sandbag relay one, which was like 4 minutes long. So
yeah, it's quick.
And really nothing like a sprinty workout like that, athletes not looking for you. Like if they are, it's a very big problem. If you're paying attention to anything other than how fast can I run with a sandbag and clean it, then you're probably going to lose the event anyways. So that part of it was pretty cool. Working with the team was awesome. That went like as well as it could have from a bunch of different perspectives. Like having Paige there to be there, like almost like on the like competition floor coach was really awesome. I think that worked really well for them. I actually didn't know, I don't know if you had told me this, Sherb. I didn't know Jenna was going team this year. So I think that experience is super important for her, to be able to get out there and compete against, like, she was side by side with some of the best athletes in the sport, and holding her own in that moment. And I think that does a lot for someone, especially like Austin and I were talking yesterday about how challenging mentally it must be to make that leap from, I've been the top 5 at the CrossFit Games for 3 years straight. And now I'm sort of resetting this clock, and like there's an expectation. My season flows this way and I feel this way about it. And now I'm basically starting over. And like, I think it would be really easy to get into the wrong headspace as a teen athlete making that leap. So I think this was a really great experience. I think it's really cool that she's going team with some people that are experienced in that realm. Like, I think she's working her way through. I'm sure you have thoughts on this, sure, but I think she's working her way through this transition really well.
I think after the CrossFit Games this past season, going to Penn State for first semester of college, I essentially told her that like she doesn't need to decide what her CrossFit future is in the first 6 months after the CrossFit Games. Like, one of those things is I want her to understand is that, like, I think it's important for her to have the college experience and to realize that you can stay in really good shape regardless of whether or not you're training to compete at the CrossFit Games. And you might want to take some time just to see what college life is about. And I think she took that fall semester to, go to football games, meet people, do the college thing. And, I knew that she was going to do CrossFit continuously during that time. I just knew that it was going to be Penn State's CrossFit Club, which is, pretty cool about Penn State is they have a couple of gyms that are directly in State College, but there's also like a CrossFit Club that she can participate in as a student. So I knew she would stay in shape there. And then, we had talked about what does the future look like. There's a pretty high probability that you could qualify for a semifinal right after this year, but you would go there expecting to like just participate, which is fine. Like, it's a great way to do that, but there's an opportunity for you to get around other people that might be better than you for a while because you've been the best in the room at your affiliate for who the fuck knows, 4 years plus. And, we can find the people in your gym to push you in one workout or that workout, but you don't really have the environment that's like, these people are all better than me. And I basically need to raise the standard of what I think is my ability to their level to keep up. And we've seen the power of like being in the, not the best in the room, but being one of the, people in the back of the pack, catching everybody else. So I told her to put feelers out there, maybe reach out to people who are in the area. Lucky for her, 12 Labors is a really competitive CrossFit gym that's, pretty close to where she lives at home. And she explored a couple other options in the area. I think Pennsylvania is like, over at, Open Box was another spot she was potentially looking to work with, but she had ultimately decided on 12 Labors. And I think it's going to be good for her long-term growth to go there and be a part of it, realizing that she might not qualify for the CrossFit Games, having that been her standard for the last 3 years, but she's going to get a lot better in that environment. And then you can make a decision whether or not like this is something you can want to continue to pursue, which I think she will, but at a level that allows her to grow and not have this crazy stress of I got to be in the gym for 4 hours and try to get the grades I need to get at college.
It's a good mental reset too, like as far as going into a new environment, both in college and then also kind of shifting that from what you were doing. It's kind of it's like for her, it's leaving home for the first time. More than likely. How far away is she from home? Where I don't remember,
like 3 or 4 hours, I think.
Yeah, State College to where she is about 3.5 hours, I think.
And 12 Labors is closer to her college.
I think they're like she's they're closer to her home in Maryland.
She says like 3
where
hours.
Where does she
to
train
get back.
during college? Where does she train?
State CrossFit Club.
Yeah, I think there's honestly, I remember doing a competition there in grad school because I was in central Pennsylvania as well. We went there and did a competition. It's basically just a big old warehouse. It's got a rig in a corner and they store other stuff there, but it's just essentially a big open like space like most CrossFit gyms are. But it's their CrossFit Club and they have
it's really
classes
fucking
that
cool.
run through the day.
Yeah, they have they have a lot of classes there. And it runs, she says, basically just like an affiliate. It's like it's a little bit looser, but I think she might not know how some other gyms are run.
Yeah,
sometimes it's just a little bit looser. Yeah, no one.
Don't even.
I'm sorry.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not going to get Hunter fired up. Sherb and I haven't had our debrief yet on me watching her, but what is required of a team athlete is like basically the only thing that's missing from her game, and it's so ideal that she can simultaneously work on that and get the right experience through the transition. Like those two things happening simultaneously are about as good as it gets. Because like on the individual side, there's just so much work and long duration stuff that you have to go in and do to be able to get better. And if you go team, I think you can skirt around that a little bit if you haven't gotten yourself there quite yet, especially at the more like semifinals level. But that's the side of things that she seems to excel at. So the part where she's got to learn to like run out and do lunges as fast as she possibly can and then run back and tag someone, it's like that's kind of perfect for her. And it's like just in terms of like development, this is the time when her body's going to agree to that a lot more than it did when she was 14 years old.
I mean, we isolated that as one of the major gaps in her fitness, and one of the reasons why she didn't attain her goals this past year at the CrossFit Games is like looking at that final event. All the girls were like, fuck it, we're doing 20 bar muscle ups in a row. Let's see what the fuck happens. And then run over to the dumbbell and do them as fast as possible. And, you know, I could tell going to that event that maybe Jenna she didn't think that was impossible for her, but she's like a little hesitant for what that would do to her. And one of the things we've always talked about is like in training, you're extremely fit and you're intelligent enough to know when to attack and when to back off. Well, sometimes you just got to fucking attack and see what happens and put yourself in a situation where like, well, I fucking imploded. I didn't get where I needed to go, but at least I found out I couldn't do that now. And guess what? I'm going to figure out how to get better at that next time so that I don't have the same level of implosion or like, you know, falling short of the goal. So I like that the team environment puts her in a situation where, like you said, you have to go through it as if you're doing 25% of the workout as fast as possible, realizing that you're going to hand it off to a teammate. You're going to pass the baton in the 4x400 meter relay and it's their turn. You can't think about like, oh, I'm going to feel sad afterwards. Like it doesn't matter. You have to go as hard as you can, hand the baton off and then wait until the next time you go again.
It'll be real sad when you come in 13th place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on McKenna's side, it was cool to basically her preparation and where she's at from like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, but like where she's at on the physical side of what she's truly capable of based on her workouts in the gym and what she's gotten better at exceeds where she thinks she is and where her confidence is at, especially in a competitive atmosphere. So we got these opportunities to like, okay, the nerves are pretty high. This is you know, the biggest stage that you've been on, but also what actually happened out on the floor. Like there were multiple moments where in the thick of it, her body language in terms of like how bad she was hurting, she looked like one of the fittest people out there completely. Like she's doing worm clean and jerks and burpees and like just kind of waiting for everyone else to be ready. And it's like, you're on this stage and this is the event that you were terrified of. And surprise, surprise, it's fitness. Once again, it's fitness. It's not like, can I do the unbroken muscle ups or can I do this or that? Are you fit, strong, skilled? Like all of that stuff comes back together. But you need those moments. Like I can say it as much as I want, and an athlete can think like, oh, he just wants me to think that that's true so that I'll, you know, believe it a little bit more, try a little bit harder, but maybe it is or isn't true. And I think that it would be a huge detriment if I lied about it, but that doesn't mean that it really gets absorbed until I can go at someplace like an elite division Wodapalooza and point and say, look at that. Like you were so terrified of that event. And then how did it go in reality? Like, so that was really important there. And then I think, you know, for Paige, being able to, at this point in her career, being able to go out there and have a good time and push is always just super important.
She's also got a really good leadership opportunity with those two.
Yes.
Like for both and two different women for two different reasons too. You know, a up and coming competitor and a teenager turned, you know, elite indie. Like lots of opportunity there.
This is such a great scenario. Like she basically just walks up to me with like the ducklings behind her and she's like, what are we doing for a warm up? I lay it out and she's like, let's go. And then like we get over there and of course there's no machines. I guess maybe I do have some complaints. The weather was bullshit, but that's not their fault. There's
their fault.
No equipment for warming up. So Paige is immediately like, you're on the rower. You and I are running laps. I'm going to peel off on the second lap and get on the rower. You're going to run another lap after that with this person. Like she's just like ready to go with all of that stuff. And she's always like super prepared, like just in terms of she has one of those backpacks that they claim is a CrossFit backpack, but it's just a camera bag. It's got like dividers and shit in it. Yeah. She's got one of those, and it's like got everything in it you could possibly need. So if like someone forgot something, it's just immediately like out there and good to go. So someone like that, that's prepared, that's willing to warm up, and that likes to talk about strategy within the workout, I think that calms everyone else down. Like we're going in on the thing. We're not just alone with our thoughts of like, it's going to be 3, 2, 1, go. And you know, this sponsored person or this sponsored person is going to be here and I don't belong with them because our Instagram followers don't line up. Like a lot less of that, which was a super cool experience. Also, I started saying the word dipshit. I hadn't said it in so long.
It's a good word.
Yes, Hunter. Right? Austin thinks it's a dad thing. He's like, that's a dad word to say.
He's a dipshit.
Dipshit. We were in the media pit. The one thing that was weird is basically they hold the coaches until the athletes leave. So they barricade you in and you wait until the athletes go, and then they let you go before the next group comes back in. And it was the same at every single event. We're like jammed in this little space, and there was this coach who like had his backpack on and just like slammed his way through everyone in this tiny little pod to get to the barricade to stop.
You must be new here.
And like, it's basically like when someone's weaving through traffic at like 900 miles an hour and then you see them at the stoplight 1 second later and
you
you're
wave
like,
to him.
congratulations.
Nerd, nice job.
Yeah, nice job. And I don't know what it was, but I just said dipshit. And I was like, wow, it's one of those words. It's got like a little bit of a bite to it. So that was a bit of a theme for the weekend.
Yeah, it's highly versatile.
We were calling, all four of us were calling people dipshit the whole weekend. People would ask a question.
I'd like to hear Jenna say that.
She either
She's so
agreed
polite.
or said it. I'm going to have to find out. She did say, I know she actually said it out loud because apparently with Taylor Swift, each album is an era. And she said our team was in our dipshit era. So she did utter the word dipshit. But there are just moments where we didn't even have to say dipshit anymore. We just look at each other. Oh, fucking dipshit. So that was fun.
It's a great insult.
That's a free one for anyone out there listening. Dipshit is still a very fun word to say, and I'm feeling like I need to bring it back. I knew Hunter would be on board. I didn't even finish saying dipshit, and Hunter's nodding his head like, yeah, dipshits.
Yeah. Confirm not a dad insult. Highly versatile.
Right?
Not like it's not like overly flagrant, you know. It's not like completely.
I shouldn't have said it out loud,
egregious,
to
but
be honest.
it does have a nice bite to it.
But I did
it's real
say it.
quick, rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was lovely. So Wodapalooza. Yeah.
Well, almost the best performing
story?
Misfit team at Wad. No, definitely not. Shout out to Tony Greco, remote athlete of mine, and his
saw him a bunch. Legs look fantastic in his short shorts.
He sent me. he made sure to only send me photos in which he looked yoked or was dying. Many of them were both the same photo. But
I think those are two common settings for him.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of good ones. They had some pretty sick jerseys. I don't know if you saw them in their jerseys for their final event, the Union Strong, like Chicago Bulls style. But they took fifth place in the intermediate team division out of 60, including an event win, an event second, and an event third place. In the final, they took third to sneak into that top 5. So they had a hell of a weekend.
Good weekend.
Was really cool for them.
That's great.
Yeah.
The weekend went so for Austin and his team, but it was so funny when they switched the final to strict pull-ups, and they were so far ahead in that workout that they had to change the graphic of what movement the teams were on. So they had in first place, they had their own graphic that said they were either working on their thrusters or their pull-ups. And then everyone else in the entire field had to have the graphic of like a movement behind or two things behind. I think Alec went over and did like 30 strict pull-ups to open or something like that. But you could tell that there was no middle ground for the worm thrusters. teams either thought they were easy or they looked like they could not move the worm. And it was so funny to see teams that just were like, hey, maybe like balance the weight out. Maybe don't have like 3/4 of the worm dragging on the ground.
Was it just a
It was a
normal rogue worm?
3-person, so it's different. But just a normal worm. They were soggy at that point. They were very droopy. They had been in the rain
make them nice and light.
3 or 4 hours. Oh yeah, very light.
Nice and
That's
light.
brutal.
Yeah,
Ascending
so
in weight worms.
How were
Depending on what heat you're
how were
on.
the strict pull-ups from a judging perspective? I heard some mixed reviews, but that was very brief in the on the affiliate floor.
I don't know what the narrative is for them in different divisions. I don't know if there's like an unspoken thing about like when someone ends up on like a meme page, were they in last and like they want them to have a good experience because it's a community event. I don't really know the answer to that. I mean, there were definitely some people who would like open and close their shoulder a little bit more. And there were a couple of people who were stopping short and leaving their elbow flexed a little bit, but I don't know how much an advantage it gives you over the course of the entire event. I found that I didn't watch all of it, so I can't speak for everybody, but I found that the elite athletes that I saw do it, like 9 out of 10 were very close to strict. Strict enough that it didn't change the stimulus. I do know that the athletes were pissed, though. So many of them had practiced that complex and were really excited for that. I know our girls were super excited for that. But I think they took 7th in that workout. So it still went pretty well. So yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, I saw some of the videos on Instagram. It's just like, Jesus, what the fuck is that? But I don't know I don't know what division that is. Like, is that person winning? Like that sort of thing. So
they're in 27th place in Heat 1 of the fucking yeah.
Exactly. All right. So topic number 1 or 2, I don't know. Topic next. Weekend warrior direction when you feel like you're in no man's land. So we got a message from someone who follows the program that is a former perennial regionals athlete. And they know that with where they're at physically, personal life, all of that stuff, that they're not going to semifinals in the new format. But like the quarterfinals is not scratching that itch for them. They're like, I don't care. Like, cool, I'm in 300th. That's like the best. It's so fun. Or 200th or 150th, whatever it is. So first and foremost, what program should I follow? At misfitathletics.com. And then like, where am I supposed to go? And it just made me think about, I feel like there are actually a lot of good competitions out there. There are like quite a few. And I don't know, again, if it's the wrong competition, are we still having the same issue of not scratching that itch? Does there need to be a level of prestige for a person to be like, this is worth my time to, go through a peaking schedule for, to like kind of crank things up a little bit. But I think Wodapalooza is a pretty good example of like the RX division. Like there were some pretty good athletes in the RX division there. So basically, like, how would you, if you had a remote client like this, how would you help them find direction? Because it's clear that he still wants to train, 90 minutes to 2 hours a day. It's still part of his identity. The competing is there. I know, Sherb, you've dealt with this a little bit in the past and haven't necessarily come up with a solution. We always talk about like the competition happens and then we're like, fuck, you should have gone to that. Like we should have done Legends, or we should have done this one or that one, that sort of thing. So if you guys had a remote client, how would you try to work through this? It almost made me think like I want to go to someone like a Brian Friend or whatever and be like, what is the best resource for these people? Because there are a shitload of competitions out there. And like there are competitions that pay pretty well, and there are competitions that semifinals and games athletes go to, that sort of thing. So I feel like there are opportunities, but I don't know exactly where I would send this person. I would go elsewhere and ask around.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, that Morning Chalk Up newsletter used to have like a list at the bottom of
but
upcoming
how do you
ones.
weed through that?
Well,
it's like,
my point is that you start there. That's your list, right? That's what you begin with, and then you need to take deep look in the mirror and be like, all right, where do I think I actually am and where do I want to be? And basically start crossing ones off that list. So you start with 30, you might narrow it down to 10. And then where I would go from there is like, look at the past, look where it is, look how expensive it is, look what the field of competition looks like. Because almost all of them have leaderboards published somewhere. You can see the caliber of athlete there. And if you don't know who the person is, what's great is that games.crossfit.com website has a leaderboard function that you can look up other athletes and be like, all right, these are the top 5 competitors at this competition. Their numbers are similar to mine, maybe a little bit better or maybe a little bit worse, depending on what kind of competition you're looking to go and do. Whether that's, you want to go win for confidence sake or you want to go and see where you stack up in your training. You've been putting a lot of work in for the last 6 to 12 months and you want to see if you're in the same neighborhood as them and you kind of use that as a benchmark. And then, depending on how serious you want to take it, you can decide to level up after the competition, try to find something harder, or you got your dick kicked in, you need to go back down because it just shattered your confidence and you want something to put wind back in your sails. So it really depends kind of what your objectives are. But the place that I'd always start is like, tell me why you want to compete and what you're hoping to accomplish. Like if you can't answer those easily, then I don't know if competition's for you. You might just like working out a lot, and that's cool, man. Like nothing wrong with that at all. And maybe your competition's the affiliate day to day, or you have 5 training buddies you have in a text group, but you need to be able to answer that question first. And I can't answer that for you. You have to answer that.
I think, that's like the starting point. And it's a lot of times people don't necessarily say what they mean. And that's not always intentional. It's like, I want to compete in CrossFit. And but I can't compete at semifinals, but I'm definitely competing at quarterfinals. And is it, when you start digging, it's like, well, what is it? Is it actually that you want to compete at a CrossFit event? Do you just want to be competitive in something? Do you want to just express your athleticism, your fitness in some way? And it doesn't necessarily matter what way it is. It's the same conversation you have with an affiliate athlete. It's like, I want a 6-pack. It's like, well, and then you start digging and it's like, no, that person actually just wants to fit into a dress that they fit into, 3 years ago or something like that. Or I want to be a little bit healthier. I want to get a strict pull-up. And the way to do that is to work on our diet, not necessarily to just do a shitload of strict pull-ups. And on the competitive side, maybe it's like, hey, is competing in the sport of CrossFit or in CrossFit competitions what you want? Or is there an underlying, like, well, actually, when you peel back the layers, it's like, well, I'm just like, I don't really know what to do with myself if I'm not in the gym for 2 hours a day. So I need to be in the gym for 2 hours a day. And then I want to use all this fitness that I have. So I have to do a CrossFit competition. And again, that's on you to decide, one, if that's the depth of the proverbial onion that you've peeled back the layers on, or is it like, well, it's actually, I would just like something that allows me to compete. And I'll just kind of use myself for an example. Like, the competing in CrossFit doesn't do it for me anymore. But since getting into my newest sport, like golf, that has been like an excellent competitive outlet for me. And it's actually even given me a little bit more like structure in my training, because it's like, well, I'm going to actually do that thing on the weekends more so, and I want to have the time to do it. So I'm actually just going to train Monday through Friday. Maybe it's not optimal for my overall fitness when we're thinking about fitness in terms of performance on the CrossFit Games leaderboard, but it's optimal for me and what I want. And now my competitive outlet is something a little bit different. And CrossFit has returned to the thing that I get to do, like, to keep me healthy. I do compete, there's always still a tiny bit of competition when it comes to like the workout of the day, especially if you want to do well in it. But it's like, you got to peel it back to the bare bones. Like, what is it that you actually want? And maybe it is compete. Like, yeah, I want to compete in CrossFit. And if that's the answer, then I would say, like, Drew, you were like, I don't know really where to send this person. There's a lot of CrossFitters who like trend towards something like High Rocks, even like a Spartan race, something that's a little bit different. It's a little bit more, it's exciting, but it's still like fitness and whatnot. And maybe that's something that you would consider. But I've had conversations with folks about like, like, well, what competition should I do? And there's no good answer for that. And there's no like consolidated place necessarily where like, here's all the competitions and here's the difficulty of them. Because at the end of the day, if you want to compete on a big stage like Wodapalooza or Rogue or Dubai or something like that, you're basically going to have to keep training the way that you are, like as a borderline semifinals level athlete, and hope that you qualify for those things. The other side of that is like the local competition might not scratch the itch either. So like it's tricky because there's such a wide array of competitions and quality levels and fitness levels that you might compete against. So my advice would be to start with like really peel back the layer, like keep asking yourself like why. It's like, well, I want to train 2 hours a day. Why do you want to train 2 hours a day? It's like, because I want to stay fit. Why do you want to stay fit? Oh, because I want to be able to play with my kids. Like, oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Like, keep asking yourself why and peel back the layers a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting so I have this question is from someone named Brendan, and I've talked to him a decent amount now on this topic. I think you guys are approaching it maybe a bit more from the affiliate side of things.
Maybe
it's pretty clear that he wants to compete in CrossFit specifically, not in something separate. And I do believe that the competition that he's looking for exists. My advice, though, to him, I think would be different than what he would expect on the training end. So, like, when it comes to the competitions, there are, I would say, I know of at least a dozen competitions that would land in between local comp and, like, a Wodapalooza. There are quite a few of them that are out there. And, again, the actual, like, I know that they exist, but I wouldn't be able to say, like, it's this one. This is the one that you should go to. But if you're paying attention on social media, you can see when like Fittest on the Coast, Fit Fest, Fittest Experience, Crash Crucible, like these competitions that get a little bit more notoriety. To me, those are those type of competitions that like I have like a longer term vision of trying to throw something called the Hatchet Games, which would be exactly who this athlete is. It's like who basically is the fittest person that doesn't go to semifinals. And that could be because you haven't gotten there yet or because it's not in the cards for you, whatever it is. But one of the things that he was asking was more along the lines of, I would be more inclined to sign up for a more serious program, serious quote unquote, if I knew what I was competing for, what I was training for. And I think he's insinuating that he would sign up for MFT if he knew this is my date, this is what I want to do. And I believe that all three of us would say, no, that's not the right path to go. Correct?
Yeah, no.
I was going to say if he were, I was going to ask clarifying like where he fell. Because if he's close, so my answer was going to be, well, if you're a legitimate like semifinals athlete, and maybe there are like some MFT pieces that are appropriate for you, but I would probably, base start on Hatchet. And like, if you're at that caliber, maybe there are pieces. So I don't know what caliber he's at, like he's actually at. But if he said he was like perennial regionals, like, I guess that depends on, is that regionals? So like a decade ago? Because I was a fucking perennial regionals athlete for 4 minutes.
South Central?
Like, I don't think
I thought
once
perennial
is perennial.
more than one time, 1 year.
You guys combined still are not perennial.
Easy.
Guy went twice once. I got to go with the
You went twice
Wish
once?
Foundation. Yeah.
I went to that venue 3 times one
Cody
weekend.
dragged me there.
Yeah, I was going to say, a little piggyback ride from Cody not qualifying by accident. Yeah, so I do want to dig into that a little bit. We currently, last year, we had an athlete make the like really smart decision on their own to say, my Super Bowl is making the leap from quarterfinals to semifinals. And they followed Hatchet because we were on the podcast saying, like, if you're peaking for this moment, like if quarterfinals isn't just like a stop on your, drive to semifinals, then that's going to be the case. You should follow Hatchet. We have 2 athletes this year, both of which I believe can qualify for semifinals. in their regions that I have told either their remote coach or them directly that they should be on Hatchet. And I really believe in that. And I love that we have a case study that's like, this person listened to our advice, removed the like humility and ego of it and was like, okay, so on this program, they're peaking for semifinals, and on this program, they're peaking for quarterfinals. Like, if this is the big thing, if this is the big hurdle that you're trying to get over, you need to go and do that. And to reiterate, phase 3 is 9 weeks long, and then we have a 5-week peaking phase for quarterfinals athletes specifically. You will go through the same style of peaking like template that we would use for Wodapalooza, any of the bigger competitions, for semifinals, for the CrossFit Games. The season changing around was, sort of annoying to figure out exactly what the path was. But I think that's a little bit of a gift. The like refocusing, we make our way through phase 3, we're ready to rock. And then now let's peak for it. But you have to go in and ask yourself, what am I actually training for? And if he's training for an online qualifier that gets him to an in-person competition, you need to be able to go in and wax a low volume situation. You need to be able to go in, show up, 1 or 2 workouts a day, really get after it. They're probably, like, a lot of times they're spread out over multiple weeks. So this idea that you need to like give into the volume monster is just not correct. Like, high volume is basically for people who think that they can compete at the CrossFit Games. That's the only time high volume is tested, right? Like maybe at a Rogue or a Dubai or Wodapalooza.
Not 3 workouts in one day. It's what you're getting. That's at most, at absolute most, you're getting 3 single training stimulus or tests in one single day. Like, and there are people who think they need to do 6, 7 things a day.
Right. So very important to understand that I think the community at large needs a better resource for this. And maybe it already exists and I just don't know, like, do these other podcasts that talk about this stuff talk about this specifically, like, oh, this competition's coming up and this is the caliber of athlete that's there. You kind of have to, as far as I can tell, have to have your ear to the ground a little bit more. And there is a competitions channel in Discord that people talk about that they're going to a specific competition. So you could look at that as well. But maybe more importantly, preparing for that, in my estimation, is very much like you should be obliterating Hatchet before you even consider a move up. MFT is very specifically written for semifinals and CrossFit Games athletes and no one else. Hatchet is written for like all the way from like, hey, I just like participating in the open and want to be involved in the Misfit athletics community, all the way up to, I think there's a slight chance that I can make it to semifinals. That whole spectrum lives on that specific program. You're like, how is that possible? Go to misfitathletics.com and get signed up and you can see the instructions and the scaling and the equipment modifications and all that stuff. But to me, that's the more important answer to his question. Like, the community can help him figure out where he should go. I really do believe that those opportunities are out there. But preparing for them does not mean, okay, I'm going to switch back over to MFT. I would rather someone just get after it. Because, hey, guess what? Like, your percentages are your percentages. Your rowing paces are your rowing paces, your running paces. Like, you're going to be able to bring your level of fitness to this program. It's not like 8 by 90 seconds on a machine is 8 by 90 seconds on a machine. There's no getting around that from any, like, perspective. This is the same
thing. That's the same thing for a CrossFit Games athlete as it is for a beginner that's walking through the door right now. Like, paces are different. That's the only change.
The valuable thing here, Drew, might be you just kind of highlighting what would be missing from that program that's not in MFT. That I think that highlighting the difference, I often say, like, this is for a certain caliber of athlete. For anyone that's not that caliber athlete and they're now Hatchet, they might be thinking, oh, I'm missing something. And I think that might be the most important thing to go forward. So like what is different? What is a identifying characteristic that makes Hatchet, other than the fact that it's less maybe weight and less reps of a skilled movement? What is missing from the Hatchet program that's in MFT that you're missing out on?
Yeah, I mean, the number one difference is volume, and the way that we're designing the program and looking at it an athlete going into it is going to have to make time for one of those sort of single, long ass 4 to 5 hour sessions, or they're going to have to go in and do double sessions. And the program, again, is what is mandatory and what is not is very much written with the idea in mind that you are doing zone 2 work twice a week, and you are working on skills 3 times a week, and you are lifting twice a day, probably 3 or 4 times a week, and you're doing multiple metcons in a day. We have to know the totality of what an athlete is executing on for the program to work. When we go down to hatchet and we look at that, the volume and what we're choosing for certain pieces has so much to do with the exact same idea, but baked down to like, are you doing 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces? And obviously 4 could mean 2 lifts and a skill and 1 metcon. Like that's very different than 1 lift and 3 metcons, right? Like those are 2 like very different things. And then from there, it's just like we really make sure that the stimulus and the movements and what we're asking is appropriate. Because again, at the end of the day, like program a lot of AMRAPs, right? Like you get to bring the same amount of work as a hatchet athlete that borders on being able to do the MFT stuff. You get to go in, like you're going to be punished for your fitness level on hatchet when it comes to the intensity you can bring for time workouts, and then how much extra volume you can get in an AMRAP.
Here's a question. What would happen to Caroline if you gave her the hatchet workouts? Same, her volume, but hatchet like weights and reps and like skills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think she would annihilate them so badly that it would be like harder in a way?
Yes, I think it would be mentally easier and it would be physically very hard. Like the amount of volume, like she could end up like, oops, she did 900 double unders and 62,000 GHD sit-ups and whatever. Like we very much are looking at that sort of thing. And it's a very important question because the time of year really matters. Like if she came to me and was like right before the season, right before quarterfinals, was like, I'm burnt out. Like this volume is kicking my ass, whatever. There couldn't be anything better than putting someone like that on hatchet, because you're going in and you're doing the sport and you're practicing something where it's no standing around season. We talk about that all the time. We do want them to progress to a place where higher reps is still possible, higher weights is still possible. But we can achieve that in 2 different ways. Like I can give you an AMRAP where we would do the math on the actual like physics of it all, the work output that would be there. And you could very easily match an MFT workout with the hatchet workout and get the exact same amount of work done because you did however many extra reps because of an extra round, or like you did 60 reps at 155 versus whatever the math would be on 40 reps at a given weight. Like that is the same amount of work accomplished as you're going into it. So it is so appropriate to follow a program that allows for intensity and not standing around the closer you are to competing or a season. And that's why, like, I mean, I would say, top 20 would be where I would draw that line. If you're if you know you're going to walk into semifinals and be top 20, let's go over to MFT and see what we can do and see if we can get you to CrossFit Games. If you're barely squeaking in and like it's your Super Bowl and you're fighting to come in like 31st, Hatchet is a really good chance Hatchet's going to do a better job of preparing you for that.
Yeah, I think like my point to the question is like if you think about this from a super extreme perspective, you have a beginner who saw the CrossFit Games online walk into the affiliate and is like, I want to go to the CrossFit Games, and you're like, okay, MFT it is. It's like, no, obviously that's ridiculous. But like, so that's an extreme example, but the application is the same, right? It's the idea that you use the program, train at the level that you are currently at, not, hey, because if I woke up tomorrow and said, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to start training. I want to be a semifinals level athlete. Like, that 245-pound
some weight in your
barbell
frame.
in the 5-round Metcon is still 245 pounds and is not going to allow me to like maybe I'll get through the workout and be like, damn, this is what training for semifinals is like, where I just move super slow and the weights are heavy and I get buried. But like, that's how it's supposed to be, right? It's like, no, you need to be training at the level. Yeah, you're going to be training you need to train at the level that you're currently at. And we're just saying like, for the athlete that MFT is written for, those weights and reps are executed in the same way that I'm executing my affiliate level workouts. Just the relative intensity conversation is where the results come from. It's not the like, there's no arbitrary like switch that gets flipped and it's like, wow, now all of a sudden you are qualified to do a different program that is not meant for you. Follow the program at your current level.
Large amount of assumptions about this human being on MFT as well. Like a lot of things go into this that don't have anything to do with the program itself. Like that is the easiest way to think about it is for a professional CrossFitter. That's what's in our mind. Yeah, again, easy. Multiple sessions within a day. Some of them do have jobs, but still make it a priority. Are you eating the amount of food that you need to eat and what you need to eat? Are you, paying attention to your sleep? Are you doing the extra work? Are you warming up and cooling down? All the things that we talk about all the time. Like those are assumptions that we're making for every single human that's on that program. And you could be capable of following that program if A and B and C and D and E and F were happening, but they're not. So that means that you go down to, you just go to Hatchet with 99% of the Misfits and you crush it. And there's personalization stuff in there. And again, you bring the fitness and the strength and the skill and the intensity to the piece. Yeah. Like it takes so fucking long. Like what's the trajectory of like, I don't even need to say the movement. It's 95 pounds, then it's 115, and then it's 135. And then it's 155, and then it's 185. How fucking long does it take to get to no standing around season when you basically double the number for something that you have to cycle and go through? That's a really long time, right? Like 225 deadlift back in the day was like, here we go. Central nervous system's going to be in the shitter for a month. And then you go to regionals and you got to rep out 405 with, get the belt tight and go pull it and get back and get to work. Like that's twice as much weight as we thought was heavy earlier on. And that trajectory doesn't just happen overnight. You don't get to decide that this is what I want, so I'm there now. This is what I want, so I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go here. There's a lot of people out there on the pro version of whatever program that they follow that will not make these just tiny little incremental gains in a few specific areas because it's percentage work or because it's machine work. And then they have no intensity in the sport. And they're like, this program sucks. I'm flatlining. This is just not, it doesn't work. It's like the Metcons and the intervals are not appropriate for where you're at in your journey. That doesn't mean that they won't be appropriate. It doesn't mean that next year you aren't going to say, fuck it. Someone's going to make sure that I don't have to eat ramen and I'm sleeping in this bedroom that's $12 a month or whatever. Like those things can happen. You can make those changes in your life, but so many stars need to align for that to happen. And like put the onus back on yourself and go follow a program and you bring the heat to that program. Like that's what's going to happen there. That's how you're going to be able to get significantly better. If it's the program needs to do this for me, and I need to walk into the program machine and it injects me with the strength and the fitness and the skill. And oh my God, what happened? Thank you so much.
Oof. That's a fucking separate rabbit
Shirt
hole
idea.
too.
Inject me.
Right? Yeah. Yep. We actually
deep.
had that conversation at dinner after Wodapalooza. The athletes still, the highest level athletes still have that thing of like, this person, I'm terrified of this person because what I think they could be. That is still there. They see the video of the lift, of the rowing, of the whatever, the single modality, and they're like, this person scares the shit out of me because they could be better than me. And they don't work as hard as them, and they're not as dedicated, and they don't have the athlete IQ, and it's like 1 week I'm this, but next week I'm that. Like, I don't care about that anymore. Like, think about when someone walked through the door 14 years ago that was like, had that potential, they're doing like a strict muscle up on day one. Everyone's like, ooh, this is amazing. Fucking doesn't like to train at all. Like a month into it, they're like, this sucks. I'm not the champion yet. It's like, this is going to take 10 years for you to be the champion. What the hell are you talking about?
We know someone did a 275 thruster in their beginner's class.
That is true. That is true.
275-pound thruster in the beginner's class. Guess how much CrossFit Games experience he has now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Squat clean thruster.
0.
He sent me a message and he was like, is this good? They freaked out in my beginner's class. And I was like, yeah, no, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Fucking dumb.
Good. It might be the most absurd thing I've ever fucking heard, basically. I can't think of anything else. Or Cody's hadn't been on a rower and rode a sub 7.2K.
Was that hard?
Fuck, that's impressive. I remember the first time I met Cam, and he came to the old MF location. That's back squat, like 5x5 at like 478 pounds. And the way he like power snatched a bar, like I was looking at one of the other coaches, and we were just like, I've never heard a barbell make that sound before as it popped off his hips.
The way the bar
I was
bounced
just like,
when he was squatting, because it looked like an air squat, the speed just never changed. It was like it's like flapping its wings as he's standing up.
Cam,
Madness.
if you're listening, shout it out.
He's not listening.
Seriously,
I'd put money on it.
And me too.
That
Dungeons and Dragons or something
was such a big deal to us before, and now we know what the true prerequisites are. Like, that person that's willing to come in and grind is what's going to get us so much more excited. Like, I'm going to help you figure this out. I don't know what the timeline is, but if you stick with it, we're going to figure this out. That is what's super exciting. The potential that lies in the development, because you know they're going to work, is what really matters.
Yeah,
and you have to keep that, but you have to foster that. You have to keep that alive in a person. Like, I'm having this conversation with athletes that are just really doing it. They're grinding. They keep showing up. They keep grinding, and they still have that thing in the back of their head, from days of being in school and wanting to be the fucking best this, best that, smartest person, like that sort of thing. Like, it was basically, in our society, it's like so cool to have effortless results, and it sucks. It's not what we want. So they get that baked into the back of their head as a kid, and then it's like, no. You, like, what you're doing is the impressive thing. You specifically, you show up, you grind. That's impressive.
But I can't put it on social media.
You can.
It's also not not that rewarding for the athlete. For the athlete who has all of the whether it's God-given talent or whatever it is, it's like those are the most frequently ones who are just like, they have the potential, and it's just like, it turns out I just don't want to work that hard. And it's like, that's fine. Like, I get it. Especially if you have, there's almost like an expectation that you get put on. It's like, you have the capability to do this. Like, if not me, then who? Like, okay, I have to do this. I have to work, I have to achieve this level. And it's just not that exciting. And it's kind of disappointing, because, like, man, it would be really cool to be exceptional at the thing that you also want to work really hard at and want to be good at, versus the person who's just like, it's like, wow, you've never done a thruster before? It's like, oh, I did 275. Is that good? It's like, yeah, high score. That's pretty good. And it's like, oh, like, that's fine. Like, but it's not that exciting for me. And it's like, that's disappointing, but I get it. It's way more like, I work with one of our affiliate athletes who doesn't necessarily have, I wouldn't classify as like the God-given athletic talent, but it's like the reason that I agreed to help this person, improve their skills is because, like, having worked around them for as long, like, just in class at the gym, it's like, I know this person's personality type enough to say, like, if I tell them to do this, they will do that. And I know enough about myself that this is the thing that's going to help make you better, and that's the thing that you're willing to do. Like, that's easy. Like, I'll gladly help that person versus like a high-level athlete who doesn't want to put in the work.
To me, potential is a foot in the door on all of the attributes that you need as well. Like, I don't really give a fuck if someone comes in and can front squat a lot or jump up on a high box, or that can go run a 5-minute mile that doesn't want a back squat. Like I don't really give a fuck anymore. Like to me, that's not even like I don't see the like
it's kind of sad because it's like, we've seen it.
I'm
We've
just
seen
so
it, right?
impressed by people that have the other attributes. That's so much more impressive to me. So potential to me is someone who comes in that like has the willingness to go there. Then we figure out what that means from like a physical standpoint. That's the only way that I really see potential anymore. Because are you really going to, with someone who's green, are you really going to like go into psychiatrist mode and rewire their brain at the very beginning? Like that's honestly kind of a weird thing to do. Like someone's in class and you're like, come over here, tell me what your childhood was like.
Yeah.
Like that's what it would take. Yeah, exactly. That's what it would take for someone to make that kind of leap. And that's just like, that's something that happens typically a bit more down the road. So I don't like, I've definitely been through all of the stages of like, it is kind of sad that this is the thing. I would say it's more sad if someone like their genetics truly are just like so baseline and low that they can't achieve something that they're willing to truly put the work in. But
or they don't think they can because they don't have
That's
the
a huge
genetics
part of that.
or the talent.
Of course.
They just know self-belief for whatever reason.
No, you're supposed to be really good at things for no reason. It's not the work that you put in. You're supposed to just snap your fingers so that everyone thinks you're the coolest 12-year-old because you can kick a soccer ball really far. That always sets people up for success,
kick a soccer
right?
ball really far. Listen, I'm just saying, I don't know if I'm going to be a professional golfer, but my mom told me when I was like 3 years old that I was pretty good at mini golf and maybe I had a future. So
Seed was planted.
I'd say, just blooming a little late, if you will, but
Late bloomer.
yeah.
First time I swung a baseball bat, I hit the ball off of my dad's forehead and he was so excited.
Good.
It's like, yes. He literally just like handed me a bat, tossed the ball, and I just fucking belted it off his face because he was right in front of me. And I was also left-handed, which gets people excited.
I was envisioning your dad putting a ball on top of his head like a T.
No,
hitting it off of his head.
That's usually how we do it.
And I was like, Claire?
No, it's like 3-year-old, like, is he even going to be able to swing that? Tosses the ball to me, and I pelted the ball off his face.
Nice.
Probably intentionally. Must have been.
Likely. Must have been.
Yep.
So proud.
Okay, how do we feel about the answer to that question? Because I think you guys covered a lot of bases for, like, when we're answering a question like this on the podcast, we want it to be relatable to multiple people. So you guys sort of dug into the side of, like, we're going to make sure that this is actually what you want. Or is it just a default setting that you haven't, like, reevaluated since Regionals 2016? Like, that is a huge part of this. And that's how someone could bounce around back and forth. Like, I want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is boring. This is fun. Like that sort of thing. You don't really know where you're at.
Yeah, when you kind of get uprooted from the original, like, reason that you got into the thing and that thing is no longer there, you maybe, like you said, kind of the default setting is like, well, like, I train 2 to 3 hours a day. Like, that's what I do. And that's always been, there's never been like a follow-up question to that, because it's always been, because I want to go to regionals, and going to regionals means I'm training 3 to 4 hours a day every single day until regionals. And now that that's no longer there, the habit is still there. The comfort of, like, this is just what I do. It's part of the routine. It's just part of my self-identity, and, you know, even farther, my self-worth, and like those sorts of things, and where I see myself on the leaderboard, whatever leaderboard that is, compared to other people. Like, that's tied to my, you know, my sanity and my mental health, and, you know, my perception of my own fitness, even though the fact that you're following Hatchet means you're in like the 1,000th of a percentile of, like, people on the planet when it comes to fitness. And it's like there has to be a little bit more peeling back of the onion. But as far as the I think that's the baseline. The question of what competition should I do? It's like, sorry, man, there's fucking 7,000 competitions happening every weekend. Like, I'm sorry that I don't have a better answer for you. I think
I'm
what
gonna
Sherb
ask
said was a great
someone
idea.
that knows the answer to answer
You know,
it.
so
report
like
back.
there's a lot of the apps. So StreamFit has like
Yeah,
a
you can see
competitions
those.
page. You can see the competitions. What level it is, I have no idea. But like a lot of the like class sign up or just like, you know, whether it's Sugar Watt or Zen Planner or whatever it is, like I imagine that they might have a location for that sort of thing. So that might be the place to go. Or like you said, the competitions page of Discord.
A leaderboarding platform that a lot of the competitions use, Competition Corner.
I was gonna say
has
something too.
competitions
Oh, yeah,
listed
okay.
on their website.
Yeah, upcoming ones.
Yeah.
It would be cool though to have like some sort of place where it is, but it actually shows you information about it. Like how many games or semifinals athletes are there? Are there cash prizes? Like that sort of thing. I think that would be something that people would really enjoy and something.
It'd be cool if there was like a central location where you could create a profile that's like, what is your current like highest level like of fitness, and then it almost
what the
filters
game site
like,
is supposed to be.
Yeah, seems like a good idea for the games website.
yeah. I'm not. I won't.
I
hold
love
my
I
breath.
love Castro's things of like, you guys have really great ideas. We're not doing them this year, but we are trying to do them sometime in the future.
We think about them.
Yeah. So do we.
Good. Congrats.
I'm glad we're all
Proud of you.
thinking about the same shit.
Good job. Bring back
Someone's
the team
gotta swoop
series.
in
Yeah, we
and-
think about it.
Someone's got to swoop in and take care of that, eh? Small team. We get it. Right, guys?
Small team.
Track.
Sherb, did you have final thoughts?
I mean, it's tough to give an answer to the question that you originally laid out, just because of how much ownership you need to have over yourself. Sort of what Hunter was just saying there. Like you need to decide why you want to do it, and really be firm in your answer, and not be on a whim of like, I just watched the CrossFit Games and therefore I want to be a competitor. Like you need to figure out what the deep reasoning is behind the drive to want to compete, and that can help tell you, basically give you the answer of what kind of commitment you need to make in your life at a training level that supports your goals but doesn't rob you of opportunities to do other things. Because I think, the situation that Hunter finds himself in now, where he likes to obviously do really well at the affiliate level classes, but has found other physical endeavors that he finds more enjoyable, is a great way to train CrossFit. Like you train CrossFit to be fit enough to go on the golf course, play 18 holes, and rip the ball pretty hard up the tee. Like that's a good reason to do CrossFit. Like you don't have to have a CrossFit goal in mind to train CrossFit at the level that some people do. And again,
It's also made me a lot better at CrossFit, for not to get too deep.
Taking a
down that
couple
rabbit
days
hole, but,
off
like,
must feel nice, though, especially with how much, because of your occupation, that you have to be here. It probably feels better
a lot
to
of the
take the class on
scheduling
Monday.
has to do with that, like the being, hey, I'm going to work Monday through Friday.
Yep.
I'd rather not come into my office on the
Right.
weekend to train, but what's the alternative? And hey,
Right.
like regularly learn and play new sports is part of, fitness and skill acquisition. And like I said, I've like learning to do something in like a sport and like a movement pattern and a motor pattern, and relearning how to learn something as an athlete has improved my coaching and my athleting. So not to go too far off the rail there, but
yeah, no, that's essentially what I was getting at. It's nice to have, the big picture behind CrossFit is to make your life better, and being good at CrossFit competitions doesn't necessarily mean everyone's life is better. Like you can figure out what better means for you. And if you think that ultimate goal is to get better at the competition side of CrossFit, that's excellent. And like, we can help you with that. But if it's to do any of the things you talked about earlier, like, hey, I just want to do this, want to do that, all because I want to play with my grandkids, like that's a good reason too. It's really not up for anyone else to decide why you are doing it. It's up for you to decide. And if you haven't taken the time to think through that, like that's a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah, I think final thoughts for me is there were two questions within that. One that's our area of expertise for sure, and one that I'm going to farm out the answer to someone who pays closer attention to this stuff. And I hope I'm not exactly sure if Brendan's in Discord or not, but I'll let him know to listen to this podcast and that he should be in Discord, because I will throw in the competition channel what I get back for an answer. But the other side of it is just so important. Like he very much explained the quarterfinals level athlete instructions that we do for Hatchet. That is him to an absolute T. It's exactly who the program is written for. in terms of leveling. Like where you're at in your journey matters. It doesn't matter to me if like one athlete's on the way up and one athlete has the goals that he does, but that they're at a similar fitness level and the program is appropriate for both of them. Like that doesn't really matter as much to me. To me, it's like I'm looking at your individual case, and the quarterfinals instructions on Hatchet will give you the best opportunity to stay in shape year round. And then you're going to get that extra little pep in your step when you set your North Star. Like, this is the competition that I'm going for. Okay, off-season block 1 or phase 2 or whatever it is, like I'm going to get that one started, and I'm going to have that feeling of, like we talk about it when you start a new phase or competition is coming up, you cross the threshold into the gym and you just feel a little different. You're willing to warm up, you're willing to cool down, you're willing to, strategize and think about it from more of the sport perspective than the training perspective. But Hatchet is the answer to most of the questions that we get. We'll continue to answer it in a way that personalizes it for you. But 99 out of 100 athletes that come to misfitathletics.com should be on Hatchet. And should be on Discord communicating with their fellow Hatchet athletes. It makes it a lot better. And there's some fucking hitters in there too. Again, some people in there that put up some really impressive scores because they're on the correct program. And those are rabbits for you to chase just like anything else.
Agreed.
Did we do it?
Jim. Yep.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. And thank you to our show sponsors. Wednesday, January 24th, brand new collection at sharpentheaxeco.com. New t-shirts, new hoodies, new crews, new socks, new sweatbands. Use your favorite athlete code. You save 10% and they get 10% for their journey to semifinals, CrossFit Games, all that good stuff. Properfuel.co. Use the code word Misfit. And if you would like to follow the programming that we've been talking about the whole time on here, or the programming that the three of us actually follow, that would be teammisfit.com for your affiliate programming needs. And then for Hatchet and MFT, Masters and Teens, head to misfitathletics.com. Get signed up. See you next week.